Everyone, back tuning into today's video. Going to do a bit of a look ahead of the next week to 10 days. Today it looks like we could get some cooler weather as we go through next week. May get a bit of a cold snap later next week, although it's quite uncertain. The models are sort of playing around with the possibility, but I wouldn't want to go too over the top. And if it does occur, it's probably only going to be a day or two of colder northerly winds, and then back to Atlantic westerlies. There's no real sign of a drastic change in the pattern just yet from what we have had through most of November. Nevertheless, it's probably going to have a bit of a more seasonal type snap next week. It's a very cold start this morning, or it was a very cold start this morning across much of England and Wales, with temperatures low as -3, perhaps -4 in one or two places. But that frost is lifting up now as more cloud filters down around the high pressure from the north, and the rest of this week is going to be quite cloudy and dry until Friday, when it'll turn brighter from the north once again. Will be a little bit milder as well through the middle of the week. Before we get on with the video, I want to mention the advertising. There's video ads on my page at GazWorldBiz.com. Hit play on the video ads. You'll be supporting GazWorldBiz.com. Thanks very much for doing that. Gaz Shop is open, so if you want to do any Christmas shopping at Amazon, click through the Amazon banners in Gaz Shop. It'll take you through to Amazon, and there you do your Christmas shopping, buy whatever you want as normal. But the things you buy, there'll be a royalty fee for Gaz Weathervids. And again, thanks very much for doing that. These things do make a big difference to the website. They pay for the website, enabling me to sit here and talk to you via the website. So it does make a big difference. Thanks for getting involved, and thanks for doing that. So we'll start off with the 500 millibar height anomaly charts from the GFS and the E70UF. We've got the ECM here on the left, the GFS is over on the right. 500 millibars, 80,000 feet, is an area in the atmosphere. I've got high pressure and low pressure developing. These are the mean anomalies for 8 to 10 days' time. This is taking us towards, say, the 3rd, 4th, 5th of December, so into the first week of December. Now, the orange areas are where we've got above average heights, which extrapolates to high pressure. The blue areas are where we've got below average heights, which extrapolates to low pressure. So, both the E70UF for 8 to 10 days' time and the GFS showing that we've got a ridge of high pressure in the Atlantic. Again, similar to the events earlier in November, it's going to be how much we amplify that ridge as to whether we pull off this cold snap. We've got quite a deep trough of low pressure sitting to the north and transferring more to the northeast of the country. That could bring some very cold air down into Scandinavia and western parts of Russia in 8 to 10 days' time with that trough. It's how much we amplify this ridge in the Atlantic as to whether we are going to see any cold air from this. Now, the E70UF does not particularly amplify that ridge very much. It keeps it quite flat with a jet stream running through something like that. But the GFS this morning does amplify the ridge a little bit more. It's not very good amplification, but it does take it up towards Newfoundland a little bit. And the result is that, yes, we do bring some of that trough energy and colder air down into the British Isles. But it is a subtle difference between the two, but it's quite a big difference, because the more we amplify that ridge, and particularly if we could take it up to Greenland, of course, if we could get it up to there, then we would really be amplifying the ridge, and that would allow a proper northerly blast to come down across the country. Nevertheless, both of those anomalies do hint that we could bring some cooler or colder air from that trough as it transfers into Scandinavia and western Russia into the British Isles. So the GFS this morning, this is the very latest run from the GFS, 6 o'clock run. This is starting off in a week's time, Tuesday the 3rd of December, showing that got this ridge of high pressure still sitting across many parts of the country. Quite mild under that ridge in terms of the upper air, but down on the surface it will be colder than the upper air temperatures suggest, but not a particularly cold scenario by any means. The jet stream, the black line here, is flat, running across the Atlantic and to the north of Scotland in central parts of Russia. Now, what happens as we go through to Wednesday the 4th and on into eventually day 10, Friday the 6th, is that we start to pull the heights out into the Atlantic. So we are amplifying the ridge a little bit. The ridge is going to, well, it's off the coast of Newfoundland, really, off the coast of Canada. It's trying to get up towards Greenland, but we haven't really got any blocking over Greenland to sort of pull it up. So it is amplifying a little bit the ridge. but it's not amplifying all that well. But nevertheless, we are pushing this low pressure through to the north of Scotland, and the cold air is coming down around that low pressure, and it's feeding into the low pressure by day 10. So as we get through to Saturday the 7th, well, then we push the trough through into Scandinavia, and if you follow the isobars back, yep, they are going to the north. We're bringing colder air back down across the country. So by Saturday the 7th, we are bringing in a cold snap with that ridge in the Atlantic. But the ridge is not sort of going up to Greenland. It's not a classic sort of situation where we lock in a prolonged cold spell. I have to emphasise that. It's more of a cold snap, I think, probably lasting a day or two. But it could bring some wintry weather to northern parts of the country in particular. The ECMWF, remember on the high anomaly charts, there wasn't the evidence that we was amplifying the ridge as much as on the GFS. So here we are in a week's time with the high pressure over the country, away from Scotland, on Tuesday, the 3rd of December. As we move through to Wednesday the 4th, and then on into Friday the 6th, where we do pull the heights out into the Atlantic. So we do get some sort of northerly coming down, but remember, we saw it on the high anomaly charts with the ECMWF. We don't amplify the ridge as much. So very quick, I think this next area of low pressure to the south of Greenland will sort of roll in, and that's probably just a 24-hour cold snap that's going for just there on the ECMWF. The ridge is not going up towards Newfoundland, certainly not going anywhere near Greenland, and that's where we need it really to get an extended sort of cold spell. The Canadian model shows that, excuse me, yes, we have got the ridge in the south, we've got the low pressure to the north of the country for Tuesday the 3rd. On into Wednesday the 4th, we're pulling the high pressure out of the Atlantic a little bit. Winds are going more northwesterly, so that's bringing the first pulse of cooler air across the country. By day 10, Friday the 6th, again, we're pushing this trough in. We are amplifying the ridge quite nicely up towards Newfoundland, but it's complicated by this next ridge of high pressure, or this continuing ridge of high pressure down over Spain and Portugal. We're not pulling the heights out of Spain and Portugal and sending them up into the Atlantic. Nevertheless, we could get a day or two of cold and northerly winds coming around that area of low pressure. So I think we are looking at some sort of cold snap probably later next week, more likely the end of next week. Very difficult to say whether this is going to be extensive, but I don't think it will be. I think it'll be a shortish sort of cold snap, and then probably back to westerly winds again. There's no real sign yet that we're changing the pattern fundamentally, and we do need a fundamental change in the pattern to lock in a proper sort of blocking area of high pressure that will keep us cold and very wintry for a week or two. But talking of cold and very wintry conditions, just want to go back to yesterday's video where I was speculating that January could be the coldest month this winter. We've had an update from the CFS model this morning at website weatherweb.net, and I'm going to show you the mean maximum temperatures for December going into January. This is a weekly period, so this first weekly period is ending the week of the 23rd of December, and we see it's not particularly cold up to the 23rd of December. It is on the chilly side, I suppose, maximum between around 3 and say 7 or 8 degrees. So that's more or less what we've got at the moment, more or less what we're going to keep, I think, through the first and middle part of December with cold snaps. Notwithstanding, but it's not particularly cold up to the 23rd of December. But look what it does on the next weekly update. So this is the mean maximum temperatures up to the 30th of December. Then that week, that Christmas week, it turns it really, really cold with maximum temperatures. Remember, these are mean maximum temperatures as well over the week. So yeah, it turns really cold with mean maximum temperatures up to the 30th of December, struggling to get above freezing. And then that locks in a very cold spell as we move through into January. So the weekend in the 6th of January, again widely maximum temperatures not getting above freezing. The week ending the 13th of January, the cold intensifies. Very, very cold week. That week from the 6th to the 13th with maximum temperatures there. Mean maximum temperatures, I have to emphasize these are mean maximums, so some days could get even colder than this, but the mean maximum for that week, through the Midlands for instance, is just -3 degrees. Very, very cold week. that would be. And then going on to the next week, when the charts click over, they should click over in a moment. I'm not sure why they're not. There we go, we're clicked over now. The mean maximum temperature for the week ending the 20th of January, again it's sub-zero, with temperatures widely staying below freezing all week. Look how cold it is on the continent, a really severe freeze there through much of France, low countries into Germany. Mean maximums for them not getting above -10 for quite a lot of places, but for us it isn't as cold, and of course we've got the modifying effect of the North Sea, but nevertheless these are very, very cold mean maximum temperatures for several weeks through January. It's not until we get to the final week of January, week ending the 27th, that we see the temperatures finally starting to lift up, and it does turn quite a bit milder, though still quite cold for Scotland. But that's a month, or is it 5 weeks, of very cold weather starting the end of December and going through most of January on this morning's CFS update. And by the way, you can find a link to weatherweb.net on my links page to see those for yourself if you would like to. So that is very interesting. Again, it's more evidence of this idea that December, most of December, is not going to be particularly cold, but January could be the month where it all happens. And right the way back right in the summer, in July, when I was starting to look at some of the more longer range models with in terms of the CFS models mean 500 millibar height anomaly charts, right back in the summer there was always that suggestion that January was going to be the month to watch. And reading between the lines of these long range models, we had the Korean update as well yesterday, you remember. Reading between the lines, I think there's still that idea that January is the one to keep an eye on. If we get a big block setting up over Scandinavia, it could get very, very interesting. So again, it's all speculation. These models are highly experimental. Don't take them too seriously. And of course, I've got my winter forecast coming up at the weekend, so you'll see whether I'm expecting this cold weather to lock in for January in the forecast at the weekend, the seasonal forecast. 5-day forecast tomorrow. Come back for that. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.